Hello, people of YouTube. My name is Steve Gray, and thank you for watching. Today, we're going to be talking about Yashahime, Princess Half Demon, Season 2, Episode 22. That's right, only 2 episodes left to the season or series finale. That we still have not been confirmed or denied that there's going to be a Season 3. Probably just comes down to, how popular it is, how many people are actually watching it in Japan. I know on the US side of things, it seems kind of meh. It doesn't seem like a lot of people are talking about this particular anime. It's never on that top 10 list. And, it's fun and it's fan service, but at the same time, I just don't see a lot of people watching it. I personally like it. For the majority of it, I have enjoyed the show throughout Season 1 and Season 2. But who knows? I'm thinking this is most likely going to be the series finale, because where can you go from here? There's 2 episodes left. The Grim Butterfly is probably going to get destroyed. Kiran Muru may or may not die. Mr. Kiran may or may not die. Riku is probably going to die because the other 2 are going to die. Ultimately, if Seshomaru ends up killing Kiran Muru, then Mr. Kiran and Riku would both die in an instant anyway, because they are attached to him. So if he dies, they both die. Not the other way around. If Mr. Kiran dies, Kiran Muru is not going to die. Same with Riku as well. We know Riku has been injured the entire time, but he's still holding up pretty well. He is definitely still holding up pretty well. So the idea behind this episode is to get a hold of the Buddhist, get a hold of all the other demon slayers, and create a giant Buddhist, spirit, demon barrier type deal in order to stop the butterfly from moving. We see that the butterfly is pretty much absorbing every demon that is in its path and killing, whether they're innocent or not, or guilty, whatever you want to say, killing everybody nevertheless. So the idea is to trap the giant butterfly in a barrier, to hold it up so that way Satsuna, Toa, and Maura can get to the Rion and stop the Grim Butterfly from doing all of this. We don't exactly know if the Grim Butterfly is its own being or if it's being 100% controlled and it's just kind of like a giant husk. To me, it seems like it's more of like a giant husk at this point in time that Rion is currently controlling. So Rion allows the 3 princesses and Riku to all go inside the giant butterfly in order to try to save her. At least that's what I think is happening anyway. And then we get interrupted by Mr. Kiran, who says, no, I'm not going to let you see her. I'm the closest to her. I'm her father. And then, they're like, no, you're not her father. You're just the right arm of her father. So we get a battle between Toa and Mr. Kiran. He uses the Kyokan sword to absorb her demon energy, so she is just fighting as a human, has no demon energy, and we end the episode with the sword right above her head like she's about to get defeated, but she is the main character, or one of the main characters, so don't worry, she's not going to get defeated. Maybe she'll, tap into her demon energy and defeat Mr. Kiran, because he needs to be killed anyway. That was one of the prophecies that we saw, was that Mr. Kiran needs to get killed. Moving on from there, we have Seshomaru fighting Kiran Muru, which is probably the most epic battle in this entire episode. And, you got lightning and all these crazy moves going around. And Kiran Muru says, you shouldn't bring women and children to the battlefield. And then Seshomaru says, well, you should know that you would never be considered the strongest if you went to those tactics. And he kind of put him in his place there. So I think Rin and Jakin are safe. They're not going to get injured in the process. Kiran Muru does not want to win that way. And Seshomaru kind of put him in his place. And he said that Kiran Muru was acting like a human, basing everything off of emotions, which is why I think Kiran Muru is probably going to lose that fight. Now, we did hear that both Seshomaru and Kiran Muru need to die. Now, I don't know if that's just a plot hole, if that's just going to be left alone, and Seshomaru is going to be fine, or maybe they'll both end up killing each other. I honestly don't know how that battle is going to play out. Or it might just end at another draw to a certain extent, and they'll both kind of carry on their way. Moving on to Toa and Maura. So Toa and Maura bypass Mr. Kiran with Riku and Toa fighting Mr. Kiran. Riku actually ends up getting sucked up somewhere in the Dream Butterfly. He had some sort of an idea about why Rion is acting like this. he actually said that, she never had any ill heart towards half-demons. Her father, Kiran Muru, was the one that had the ill heart towards half-demons because she got killed by a half-demon, but she herself never actually had any ill heart to his knowledge. And then he was about to say something, and then he gets, sucked up. So I'm not really sure where he was going with that, but I'm sure we'll learn more about that in the foreseeable future. So now, moving on to what Maura and Satsuna are doing, all of these strings of fate of all different colors. I thought they were only red, but no, I guess they can be multiple different colors. Start attacking them. They're just defending themselves. And Satsuna figures out which ones need to be cut. She, gets the blood blade going. The blood blade reacts to her. And she is able to tell Maura which ones to cut. She's not able to cut them with her sword because I think her sword is specifically a demon-made sword, so it would make sense that I can't cut a string of fate. But her arrows do. Her spirit power does. So Satsuna is able to use her weapon to cut through them. Maura is able to use her bow and arrow to pierce through them. And they are just going through a bunch of different strings of fate. There's like all these different, massively different, like hundreds of thousands, who knows, all coming against them. So, Satsuna is using her abilities to figure out which is which, and they're just getting through them one at a time. And she's speaking from her heart, saying, her dad never took her feelings into heart. It's kind of frustrating. Very aggravating that her father just generally never cared about her, it's sad that her father never really cared about her, never took her feelings into consideration. So maybe she needs to kind of get that resolved. If Kiran Muru dies, maybe she'll stop. We don't really know. We know that for the most part, she is currently controlling the Dream Butterfly with Mr. Kiran's influence on her. And that's kind of where we end it. So epic fighting throughout, we got pretty much all the characters coming back out. Some whose names I'm unfortunately forgetting at this point in time. But great episode overall. Really, nothing bad to say about this episode. Animation was great. Fighting was great. We got to see Toa use her new weapon, her new sword, even though she didn't, put any demon energy in it. The only thing I can think of is that hopefully Mr. Kiran doesn't use the Kyokan sword in order to, completely suck out everything where she's a husk again and then, put Rion in that said husk. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not, because that was the idea originally, and I'm still assuming that is on the plate. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's still a possibility, because, Rion herself is basically just bones and dirt and gravel of a grave at this point in time. Overall, I think we're going to rate this one like a 7 out of 10. Definitely better than a 6. It's definitely been better than the past couple of episodes. We only have 2 episodes left, and then we're done. And then I don't have a show to review anymore either, so I definitely got to find another show to review. I've been doing some memes of my dress-up darling. Did some Jujutsu Kaisen, some Demon Slayer Attack on Titan. I'll probably continue to do that, or maybe I'll review an episode or 2. Or maybe I'll just review an entire season by the time this gets finished. We'll just wait and see what I feel like reviewing. If you want to see anything specific, feel free to comment down below. Tell me what you're looking to see in a review. Can be anime or cartoon related, either or, even though it's mainly been anime at this point in time. So moving forward, I think what's going to happen next episode is there's really nothing is going to happen with Kiran Muru and Seshomaru. I think we're going to see some fighting sequences, but in reality, neither one of them are going to end up killing each other, or possibly they'll both kill each other. So either it's going to be a draw, or they're both going to end up dead, one of the two. I think Rion is going to end up getting saved. Toa will probably find a way to defeat Mr. Kiran, get to Rion, because, Rion and Toa were the ones that have the biggest connection, in my opinion. And then with all 3 of the girls there, they'll save everything. She'll release her from the Dream Butterfly, at which point Inuyasha will use his giant crazy black hole sword, whose name I'm forgetting, is it Tensaga, in order to suck up the Dream Butterfly and kind of spit it out in some other dimension, or kill it in the process. At least that's what I think is going to ultimately happen. So they will save it, but then they'll be left with the husk of the Grim Butterfly, and you got to do something with it. You can't just leave it there to do whatever it pleases, to absorb the rest of the demons. So I think that's what is ultimately going to happen. And then episode 24, it might continue into episode 24, but I think episode 24 hopefully is just going to be kind of like your final feel-good episode, where the entire episode is just about, hanging out. seeing all the characters, you know, kind of like the ending of Return of the Jedi, if you will, where it's like a giant party, and make it like a 20-minute sequence of a giant party. I may be wrong. It may, you know, go into episode 24. They might want to continue the action to the very end, which is a possibility, and I'm fine with that as well. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But that's pretty much it. That's where we're going to end the review. My name is Steve Gray. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one.